people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but greatly underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think that's about as true as it can get when it comes to entrepreneurship. Most people don't know how much work it's going to be to start something like this, and it's probably for the best, or else you'd be too afraid to start. The naivete kind of helps you, but also can't imagine going back to doing anything else and would never quit. And so I think just going in with a little bit of faith and then just being, but expecting to put in a lot of work has been a big thing.
Welcome to the Lay of the Land podcast, where we are exploring what people are building in Cleveland and throughout Northeast Ohio. I am your host, Jeffrey Stern, and today I had the real pleasure of speaking with Kaitie and Kyle Nickel, entrepreneurs, storytellers, and community builders based here in Cleveland. Kaitie and Kyle have grown beloved Cleveland brands like Cleveland Vibes, the Cleveland Market, and Cleaver Leave to hundreds of thousands of followers, reaching many millions of people, all with the goal of connecting people, celebrating Cleveland's local culture, and inspiring growth. Passionate about empowering small businesses and shaping Cleveland's cultural identity, they built a family business that blends storytelling, innovation, and community into something uniquely impactful. In our conversation, we cover the origins of Cleveland Vibes and how it's become a platform for positive storytelling, how to build an audience of hundreds of thousands of people, reframing Cleveland's narrative and brand for a new generation, the evolution of social media into events, agency work, and viral cultural moments, and the lessons learned of building a family business and defining success through community impact. Kaitie and Kyle are doing incredible work telling Cleveland's story, and so I'm excited to share a little bit of their story with you here today. Please enjoy. Lay of the Land is brought to you and is proudly sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Headquartered in Rocky River, Ohio, Roundstone shares Lay of the Land's same passion for bold ideas and lasting impact from our community's entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders. Since 2005, Roundstone has pioneered a self-funded captive health insurance model that delivers robust savings for small and medium-sized businesses. They are part of the solution to rising healthcare costs, helping employers offer affordable, high-quality care while driving job creation and economic growth throughout Northeast Ohio. Like many of the voices featured on Lay of the Land, including Roundstone's founder and CEO Mike Schroeder, Roundstone believes entrepreneurship, innovation, and community to be the cornerstones of progress. To learn more about how Roundstone is transforming employee health benefits by empowering employers to save thousands in per employee per year healthcare costs, please visit roundstoneinsurance.com. Roundstone Insurance, built for entrepreneurs, backed by innovation, committed to Cleveland. I was just very much looking forward to this conversation because although I feel like it may seem we're working on very different things from the outside looking in a lot of ways, I feel we're kind of fighting the same fight here as non-Clevelanders who fell in love with Cleveland and came to appreciate it for what it is, an opportunity centered around amplifying stories of people that are doing amazing things here and just highlighting all the amazingness of the city. And so I feel like grateful to have found kind of a kindred spirit in both of you and appreciate, what you're building and excited to do for you, but I feel like you get to do for so many other people in Cleveland, which is platform to just share your story and what it is that you're building.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think Kyle's actually from he's from the West Side. He's from Bay, and we always say that I think a lot of times Clevelanders need to take a little trip outside of the city and maybe live in another, state for a while, another city for a little bit, and you really grow to appreciate all that Cleveland has to offer when you get to explore what other cities have and are missing. And it's a pretty special place. I'm glad we're both here.
Wild. It was wild when you moved here, Kaitie, because you saw the city just differently, like through a different lens and the kind of what the beauty that was just there already, But people just saw it as the mystic on the lake, and so I think you helped reveal that.
Well, it is crazy coming from the reputation did not precede it. So was that your experience as well, Jeff, where you didn't, what was your expectation coming into Cleveland? Did you think it was going to be amazing?
No, I didn't. I found that my lived experience here was very far removed from the expectations that were set and the perception that I think people have of what this place is. And that when you come here in a day, you understand that it's very different from that. And therein lies the storytelling challenge and maybe the opportunity that I feel both of you have really taken in stride.
It was not at all what I expected. And I'd spent some time, sorry, I'm a little shaky there, spent some time in even Chicago, which I feel is pretty similar. People from Chicago hate when I say this, but I feel like there's a lot of similarities, and I got a lot of what I loved about Chicago from Cleveland, and I got to avoid a lot of what I didn't love about Chicago. I found that Cleveland did not have those, so, and obviously there's challenges to living in any place, but I think it's horribly misrepresented. So we're happy to help correct the narrative.
So tell us a little bit about your story, Kaitie, coming from elsewhere to essentially becoming Cleveland's unofficial hype engine, here. Take us through how that happened. What was the transition, and where did you begin to unpack the opportunity?
Yeah. Long story short, I moved to Cleveland when Kyle and I got married. We had done long distance our entire relationship, so I had only experienced it in small bites, but I had actually just dropped out of nursing school, and I was kind of in a point where I knew the choice to go to nursing school was a choice of I just like people, and I know I could find something for myself in there, but it really was coming from like probably a lack mindset, and I wasn't thinking about, what would be best for me to do. It's just something I knew was safe. So when I moved here, I just knew I wanted to be in something creative. I knew nursing wasn't a great fit. And so I just started, looking at what my career, what I wanted my career to look like. And I,
It was cool. What you did is you had a journal and you wrote down all the things that you were passionate about.
yep. Yeah, but I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get a job because I'm late everywhere. So I had to make my own. No, but I didn't want to do events. I didn't want to do other people's events, but I wanted to make content. Right, Instagram was just photography at the time. I loved photography and had a knack for storytelling, but I really had trouble fitting those skills into anywhere. So anyway, I wasn't much thought into it, but I thought, oh, Cleveland's beautiful, and I have friends who live far away who don't know, and I'm kind of stacking up a lot of photos of Cleveland on my phone, and I might as well just place them somewhere for other people to discover Cleveland the way I'm seeing it. And immediately people started following along. I found that most people felt like they were in need of a tour guide in the city and needed, someone to take them around and show them. So right away I saw that there was a need. And it's funny, over the years we saw that everything that I wrote down in my journal that I wanted to do, but couldn't commit to fully as a career, all played itself out in this career. And I get to do a little bit of everything, and I get to be with people. So it's a big one.
I love how it immediately resonated, because I think it speaks to the actual scale of the challenge. People are yearning for this positive Cleveland storytelling. And what is your sense about why that void hadn't been filled before?
Man, you're gonna get me on a soapbox if you ask that
Yeah.
question. Okay, so my theory is there is a misconception. There's a huge misconception about Cleveland, and it all stems from the fire in 1969. And a lot of people don't know this, but the fire in 1969 was purposely misrepresented, most likely by the media, in attempts to drum up support for an upcoming bill, the Clean Water Bill, that is saving rivers everywhere, a very noble cause. But the actual fire that happened in 1969 that got Cleveland dubbed the Mistake on a Lake was actually a super small river fire. River fires were extremely common in manufacturing cities, so Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh, you name it, we're also all experiencing this problem, hence the need for the act. And so Cleveland really did kind of fall on a sword and become a scapegoat for what is, the modern day like clean rivers. We've kind of paved the way for that to happen, and became kind of the name for like a city that's I think, is dirty. What we found is that most people don't know that it wasn't that they weren't that there wasn't anything exceptionally wrong with Cleveland. That there wasn't that really was it was just a kind of went viral, for lack of a better word, in a time where the news stories didn't move quite as quickly, and so even though it really stuck with Clevelanders too. And so getting Clevelanders to even say, hey, that's not us, that wasn't true then, and it's not true now, has been, half the challenge.
Well, I think too, part of that we were talking about, Kaitie, is like the one thing that I think a city is the stories that we tell about it. And if the stories we're always telling about Cleveland are the ones where we lost the fumble, the mistake on the lake, the fire, the burning fire, if these are the stories that we're talking about, we perpetuate that. And so I think one of the things Katie's always said is like no true change comes without a positive mindset shift. And so like how do you show Cleveland beautiful first, right? And then people will start to see it that way because it was already there. It's just like I think there's a lot of this older generation that is choosing to see Cleveland as this mistake on the lake instead of the best
We're
location.
humble. I think it comes from a place of humility. It's self-deprecating, and most of the time, it's seen as harmless. But when an entire city is speaking these words over the city, Vibes is turned out to be the perfect name for it because it really is about just changing what the actual, energy is here. And I think it wasn't just us. Obviously, in 2016, when we were founded, also there was a big championship that we took home. There's a lot of economic, movement going on already, but we came here at the right time, and it looks like a totally different city than it did when I got here.
Hmm. Yeah, beautifully said. I mean, that is the importance of storytelling right there. It's like the best stories when it's upstream of everything else about the culture of a place. It's what gets repeated for better or for worse, but also like, grounded in the reality. Like I didn't know that the fire wasn't that big, actually.
They used photos. This is fascinating. They used photos from a fire, I think 10, 15 years earlier. There's skies 1952, there's skyscraper sized flames in the photo that they used. But really, at the day of, people in the riverside didn't even know, on the bank didn't even know that it had happened. It was very, very small, like something they quickly put out without a fuss.
It wasn't even a picture of it. So they had to use a fake one.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to know. That's good to know. So you can act accordingly. That wasn't true.
Yeah. So take us back to 2016 when Cleveland Vibes is born. I mean, that's when I moved to Cleveland. There was a tangible energy in the city
Yeah.
that summer specifically that was just unbelievably positive and awesome. But in the beginning, when you're beginning to post these pictures in the early days, resonates immediately. But at what point do you begin to think like maybe this has real potential? Maybe this can be more than a social media account. Like, can we take this seriously as an idea?
Kyle was working full time through the beginning of it, obviously supporting our family, and we had two small children at home all throughout the first beginning stages. So it started out as something I could do as a creative outlet I could do while I was home with my babies. But as they started to get older, I took on another job as a stylist, and I was working part time doing that. And yeah, there was a time somewhere around, I think 2019 is when we said, okay, this something has to give. I'm either going full at it with Cleveland Vibes and quitting the stylist job, and just we're gonna have to see if we can make it work. Then 2020 happened. Everything kind of was a big reset. The business really started to explode a few years later when my brother and his wife moved over. They've got children of their own, so we could because I kind of reached still a point with capacity with two kids of my own still home that I couldn't do any more than what I had. So we got a point of capacity done, and so my brother moved over. They have three children of their own, and Kyle and I have two. So the children, we started doing this kind of as a team, and they came on the Cleveland Vibes team as well. And so it became this true family business. Kyle quit his job and went all in, and the kids would go. They're either with Uncle Kyle, or they're with their TT, or they're with their Auntie Steph, and they're going, they get to kind of have this like communal childhood, and we get to give them a supportive family, and the business got to really take off then. That's when
I remember going to Delaware and talking with Stephanie and Mike about it because it was like we realized that there was just too many. I
we
think
couldn't do anymore. I was maxed out.
too many inquiries coming in, too many people saying like we, and it was cool. I mean, it was pretty wild to see it. Just those emails coming in. We're just like, we need help.
It's not traditional to do it like this. Obviously, working with family has its own set of challenges, but I will say that there's no way we could exist the way it does without that supportive system. We couldn't have afforded childcare the way we needed to, and just it wouldn't have looked the way we wanted to anyway. So we're super grateful for that.
Kyle, what convinced you to make the jump?
I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that Kaitie and Mike had and yeah, the whole team had done to before it, but it was like, what do you think, Kaitie? What was the
Well, it's an awkward business to be in, honestly. It's really non-traditional, and we're kind of laying our own landscape, I guess. I don't know if there's a better term to use here, but we were kind of like making our own rules and, building the car while we're driving it. So it's kind of an interesting, lots of weekends, lots of evenings, but then also a good amount of busy work to do during the day. So it's got unconventional hours, and it really kind of was an all hands on deck, working a normal 9 to 5 while everyone else was living this super untraditional lifestyle. You were trying to do both mostly, and it just wasn't working.
and we penny pinched too to make it work too. Like we definitely moved
We
in,
we moved in together, yeah, both our families.
for a while. So it's like we definitely. I think the big thing though was I was also at Boxcast at the time, so I was at another startup here in Cleveland and kind of saw the rise of that company, and it was like, I think we could do this again, and I think that's part of the reason I was like, just the things I learned there from Gordon and the team at Boxcast to now, like it's been pretty cool to put a lot of those into action. I think throughout our company.
Boxcast was your dream for a lot of years, and I think you just started to recognize that your dream was shifting, and you could, yeah. But it's an awesome company. Another great local business. I don't know if you've met them, Jeff. They'd be a good one to
Oh,
connect with.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Gordon
do you know
has
Gordon?
shared his story, and I'm sure would love to understand the entrepreneurial inspiration.
He's definitely been a mentor to us. I mean, we've talked to him a bunch of
You
times.
still Kyle. You still call him when you need some advice from someone who's been
Yeah, I
there.
was
We're so
calling,
grateful.
dude, yeah, yeah. So he's a good guy. So.
Obviously, Cleveland Vibes today is much more than an Instagram feed. How do you think about what it is? Like, what is an overview of Cleveland Vibes? How do you describe what it is?
Elevator pitch, we're a digital media company that specializes in events in Cleveland, or also does events in Cleveland. A digital media and events company, I guess, is the quickest way to say it. We really fall under. We have a couple platforms that we share content through, similar to what a magazine would have done. What we're kind of meeting that need modern day. And then we have an agency that we help run social media for local businesses here in the city and help do large campaigns, just bring campaigns to Cleveland when someone's trying to make some noise here. And then we have events, and we do events at local businesses. And then we also have a huge event called the Cleveland Market that we run now 4 times a year. It's a kind of an in-person representation of what we do online every day. It's the meeting place of community that loves Cleveland and the businesses that make it so amazing.
So growing an audience from zero to thousands, now hundreds of thousands, reaching millions of people. How did you do that?
I would say marketing. Well, for one, I was blessed that the first couple of years that I got to do it, I was not doing it for any sort of, I wasn't doing it as a business. And so I got to really create a community without asking for anything from them. And we still try not to ask for much, but just the relationship was completely we're just talking about our favorite places. And that's all it was for a few years. So I think I was really blessed that Kyle worked while I was able to do that and be with the kids and do that. So that's a head start. That
I think
helps.
it's cool too. For the years that Kaitie did it before ever being, paid, she got to go meet all these business owners that are putting their heart and soul into the city, and she gets to speak encouragement into those people. And it's like, because another thing that Kaitie says a lot is, why do people don't go to Minneapolis to go to Applebee's, right? They go to Cleve. They want the small mom and pop place. One unique. Those are the small business owners that make it great. And so Katie got to go and just encourage them. And it was just a cool thing. I think that yeah, that's the building of relationships you were talking about earlier before the call, Jeff. It's just it's all about relationships.
I think just approaching it, even when now you are selling something, if you're talking about how to build a community online, even if you do have something that you're trying to promote, making sure that it's always a relationship and that's how you're thinking about it. This isn't a pedestal for me to talk at you from. We're asking questions. We're hearing feedback. I mean, our posts, what we just how we decide what to post is based on how people react to it and if they like it, and we want to give them more of what they want. So just making sure that you're always having the utmost respect for the people that you're trying to serve, and just like treating that, like remembering that they're humans. I think that's the best way to grow, because I think a lot of times we overthink it and we start to, think, go into copy and go into, you know, trying to formulate something. And it's really just, there's just people on the other end. What would I like to see in trying to create content that I would want to watch? And I think that's my
Mhm.
best advice for growing.
I think our brand has like just a great message that I think people have been craving. Just that Cleveland is great, and like a lot of Clevelanders love the city too. That's a big part of it. But I think also the networking has been a big part of our growth when Mike got here and Stephanie got here. Just getting out in person and just like you guys meeting with more people and just like I think that's been a big part of the success too, because I think
Especially in Cleveland, since it's such a small town vibe here.
yeah, absolutely.
It helps to get out and just meet people in person for sure. But for online growth, now we've grown several accounts now, so I can't like the Cleveland market page is at 30,000, and it's the same text. It's the same every time. Just create what you would want to see if you were looking for, if you're, everyone's scrolling. What is it that stops you? That's the type of stuff, that will draw someone else into, and just trying to think of it with that mindset.
Yeah, I think one of the things Katie said before too is like if you want to post something that's funny, like you have to laugh at it. If you want to make something sentimental, like do you actually feel sentimental when you watch this thing, or do you not? Because if like, and ask people for feedback, but it's like you have to feel the emotion of what you're trying to draw out on the other side, right? That's
Mostly
art.
the standards are just too low. They say when you make a piece of content, it should be inspiring, educational, or entertaining. And if it doesn't hit at least one of those three things, then it's just a waste of space, right? And just making sure that you're hitting at least one of those three every time. Because I think the standards is sometimes people do it as a checkbox. They know I need to post every day, so I'm just going to put something out there, and
Yeah.
you're too far removed now.
I mean, that it certainly resonates. I feel like people often ask me, like, have you kept this going for 5 years? It looks like a lot of work, but to me, it feels like play, and I enjoy it, and it's like what I would want to listen to, and so I enjoy this very much. And if I'm like the audience first and foremost, and I'm grateful other people
Mhm.
appreciate it too, but I feel like that has been at the heart of why this works at all.
Yeah, don't choose a niche that you don't actually want to, that you're not actually passionate about, is good advice, because you're going to be talking about it a lot. And so having something you really care about, and we really do. We just love the city. Kyle said the people that are making it, the people that we get to meet every day, like the, boutique owners at Whiskey Grade, we just were with 20 minutes ago, to the people at the West Side Market. They really are just the best, the salt of the earth kind of people here in Cleveland. And I think it really makes it easy to be their cheerleader once you get to know them.
As much as you think like a city is your relationship between the spaces, it's really your relationship between the people that are within it. Like that is, I think, the most beautiful thing about it.
Well, Katie, you mentioned a bit of building the car as you're driving it, and Kyle, before we started recording, you mentioned some of the challenges of the journey along the way, and so I'm curious from an entrepreneurship perspective. When you think about Cleveland Vibes as a business, what have you taken with you as some of the most kind of salient learnings about what it is to build a company behind this movement?
Ooh, where to begin? Things we've learned along the way. There's one. This one I got from Jackie Proctor from Fount, and she said they're a leather handbag company here in Cleveland, and they're having tremendous success now. She says people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but greatly underestimate what they can do in a decade. And I think that's about as true as they can get when it comes to entrepreneurship. I think most people don't go in knowing how much work it's going to be. I was just talking about this with some business owners we're working with. Most people don't know how much work it's going to be to start something like this, and it's probably for the best, or else you'd be too afraid to start. The naivete kind of helps you, but also can't imagine going back to doing anything else and would never quit. And so I think just, going in with a little bit of faith, and then just but expecting to put in a lot of work has been a big thing.
Also, it's just better when you do it together. I think so many entrepreneurs probably fail because they're just so alone in it, but we're doing it as a family. And it's like all of us are together in it. So we have each other, but we also are we also are, it's like, it's a wild, man. That's the biggest thing is that I think that's a big part of our success. It's just that we've done it together.
Yeah. When someone's ready to quit, someone else is ready to push them to keep going. It's good. We kind of cycle at who's the quitter right now, who's ready to throw in the towel. But it's yeah, definitely the relationships. You can't do it without community. You can't do it without having people that uplift you and understand what you're going through, and best case scenario, or doing it with you. I
Hmm.
definitely agree. I'm trying to think if there's anything else for lessons that we've learned along the way. Marketing is everything. I mean, every business that we come into contact with, there's so many products that you obviously, this is a little bit of a self-serving self-serving note, but it really is either I it isn't about the businesses that succeed. It doesn't seem like is not completely about the product. It's not completely about the location. Even it can be about who's willing to put themselves out there, who's willing to stand out online and take a chance in marketing and things like that. I think really it goes a long way in 2025.
We've delivered a lot of value. You know what I mean? Like if you're delivering value, like I think we do help people find places to go and what to do. That's another thing that I think we've learned as a company is that like providing value to people, I think is like the only reason that they enter into an exchange. And so I think it's kind of cool to like be able to provide people with a lot of those amazing parts of the city and then get to talk to the business owners. And it's just, yeah, a cool way to help people, I think, and the owners.
Well, I would be remiss to not ask about your hat, Kaitie, and would love to hear the Cleaver Leave story, as a chapter in the Cleveland Vibes book.
So, Kyle, you can speak to Cleve Relief if you want. The name actually started with a podcast or a playlist that my brother Mike made when we were they were just visiting from Pennsylvania. And I think he made the name of the playlist Cleve Relief. And we just had it on repeat for a bit. So then that's where the name originated from. And he just made it up on the spot.
I think the nature behind it, right? Like the word to cleave, right, is to leave and hold on to something, right? It's like, or you're holding on to it. And then there's leaving, like, get out. So I think it's more of like an unabashed passion for Cleveland that's more like in your face, maybe. So it's more of our kind of dude centric brand where it's like, maybe it's more cars or sports, or you can still have some of the vibey stuff. But I think it's really more about like, yeah, people that are passionate about the city and like it's that kind of spirit of it that's a little bit more in your face than the Cleveland Vibes brand, but it's also, yeah, just a cool phrase that I think sounds sweet. So I mean, why not
Yeah, we
use it?
good thing you.
So if you sleep relieve, baby, I don't know, it's just a good name. So
It is a good name.
Mike had it as a Spotify playlist, I think initially, but it was. I think we thought maybe it would be podcast something. We didn't know what it was, but it was our playground at first.
Yeah. Well, Cleveland Vibes is extremely. We are adamant about Cleveland Vibes remaining positive. If we do share something that is then maybe something tragic happened in the city, there's going to be a call to action that allows people to take part in the positive change. But other than that, we're strictly positive. So honestly, clearly, the the platform came from just needing another place to say things that were just not, not all rainbows and butterflies. Maybe a little bit, just showcasing a little bit more of the grit, a little more of the less glamorous sides of the city. It was another place to put that stuff.
Well, I'm just so sick of other people talking crap about us. Like, how about clap back a little bit? That's what I think. That's the
A little
elevator.
more in your face.
But it's more of that. I think. I don't know, but I think it's a great word for a great term and that brand for our clothing line and our merch there. Maybe more so than vibes, as we kind of talked about, Katie. So It's more of you could find it at the Cleveland Market on August
Mhm.
9th.
Only available at the Cleveland Market.
It's a great plug. I want to explore the creative playground idea a little bit, and I'd love to understand how you like what is the creative process like. Where does Froggy come from, and like how does that go from creative playground to what it is? Take us through that.
I will say it's coming from not I didn't come from a business background at all. So everything has been kind of just been our imagination has kind of paved the way with this since we didn't really know what we are doing. So I think we've really just we kind of we're interested in what we're interested in and we post about it and that kind of tends to work out a good chunk of the time. And really in the case with Froggy, it was
And
um
what is Froggy
oh yeah,
for
please let
those
me
who may not know, like
yes.
me?
I know. If you haven't been acquainted, so on Cleaver Leave, we, like we said, a little bit more of a playground. We get to have more fun with the content that we post over there. And so, one of our creators, my oldest brother Eric, was just having some fun. The Cavs were looking good early season, and he had a feeling that they were going to be going on a pretty good win streak. And so he put a meme out there. It was just a
There's a
frog.
video, yeah, of like a frog in China dancing with a weird song. That said Cavs 4-0. Not gonna stop posting to the Cavs.
Posting until the Cavs lose was the phrase on it. And but he didn't know how long it was going to be until they lost. So they went on to go to what 16-0, I think
Oh, so it was 14-0, the initial win streak,
14-0,
I think, or at least
15,
15,
15,
15. Yeah, there we go.
15-0.
But
Correct.
the around game 8 or 9, the players were enjoying it as well and liking and commenting, and fans were noticing that. And then,
Lots of positive feedback from the city.
yeah, found a similar suit online, bought that puppy, started dancing around the city, and then
Yeah,
it was just a cool thing that like naturally, organically took shape. And I think none of it made sense, and that's what made it
no.
all
Well,
clean.
I will say as a business decision, I don't know that she was the best choice, but it really was such a like it just created so much joy where we were. We would take her out after a win, and I say her because it's a both the character as a girl and the person inside the suit, and we'd take her out after the Cavs would win, and you would see little kids go crazy. You would see college age like boys like that's a hard group to impress. Like they would go and go crazy for it. That middle-aged people all the way to grandmas, and it just was so cool to see the city just so excited over something that was so nonsensical and positive. And so really it was just a fun thing, but it went absolutely viral. So it landed our brand on, she was on Sports Center, she was on,
But now she got a collab with Takashi Murakami dropping, I think, in the next day or two, right? the, just
That's
like
awesome.
was one of those things too. I think we learned about how to work as a team because it was a whole unit and not a lot of it made sense, but it had 92 million impressions across the internet. And we just leaned into where we felt like our energy was taking us. And I think it's it's
it's
been one of the
also,
coolest things we've ever done, but it was we don't even really know how it happened.
we learned a lot from it though. I will say we took a lot away from it. One, we learned that just because something doesn't make sense financially doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. It was still really good for our brand and it made, got people's attention. It's so funny. We were making beautiful, positive Cleveland content for almost a decade, but then we'd have people who had never would be like, "Hey, you're the frog people," and you're like,
Yeah.
so it crossed different boundaries. So there's things that can make sense for your business even if they don't make sense for the bottom line. I think we learned from that. And then also just to be prepared for a viral moment. You never know. I think when you're in content, and we haven't had very many of them. It's been more of a slow climb, but to be prepared for when you have a viral moment, to know, if something were to happen, if this is how you're going to be ready for it. You've got to have this set up and you can have a Shopify and you can to find ways to capitalize for it so that now we know that much we'll be that much more prepared if you ever get 92 million impressions again.
And one of the coolest things about it, man, was just that is this dancing frog after the Cavs games that would dance, but the joy that people had from it, like 6-year olds to 80-year olds, didn't matter who was in the city. College people like There's not a lot of things that spark joy like that in people. This guy outside of what was it? We were at so the owner of the Map Room, the pizza place. I was telling about his man that thing brought so much joy to people, and this city needs it. And I was like, dang, that's cool that we did that. So,
That's super
That's the
cool.
but
whole point, right?
yeah, but
Vibes. Bring
we
in the vibes.
All vibes.
I think it's just where you can take risks. I mean, I think a lot of times a brand gets really established, and then you don't have a safe place to feel like you can actually be creative or try something new. And so we kind of started that page to like have a place that more people could contribute and then grow and try the things out. And I think it's, now it's kind of got its whole separate brand, and it's like we're thinking about how we start other places for new playgrounds. Maybe we don't know, but it's cool to have a place to do that as a creative person.
The internet is a creative playground though, and you get rewarded for standing out. There's so much of content looks the same as you swipe through, and you just don't get rewarded for fitting in. So I think that's how people should think about most of the content that they post is how to have more fun.
Yeah. I guess how do you think about the ever changing social media landscape more holistically with the rise of new platforms and just like how are you thinking about staying innovative with regards to the internet as a creative playground?
Early adaptation is the key. Don't be stuck in your ways. I think half of what we do in our job is try to convince people that their marketing dollars really could be spent better, even just on social media versus a traditional platform, maybe we'll call it. And so I think it's really just shown me that, like, yeah, in marketing, if you aren't staying current with the times, you do get left behind, and that's scary. But if you can have an open mind to just whatever's coming in and not judge, then I mean, you can do anything, right?
Yeah. Or just even diversifying verticals, having multiple different channels where you're growing. Our newsletter's been something that's grown over the years. It's a very minor part of our brand currently that is, I think, underrated. And I think people really focus their attentions on one place. And I think that's good because you kind of have to have a main one. But I think those side verticals have been something that's slowly grown the brand as well.
Yeah, being willing to learn too. I mean, yeah, it's just like I said, constantly changing. Yeah, the being willing to say I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I do want to know more about it and go straight into
We're also students of it.
it.
We try
Yeah,
to
exactly.
we try to pay attention to what's going
Just
on.
some fun.
We look at, okay, what are the other people doing that works well? What do people want? What do they look for? Like, how do you kind of almost like a small feedback loop, either internally as a team or internally, like how are you making adjustments to really like that are reflected in what uh you're seeing gets rewarded,
Right.
right?
Because I was an expert. Cleveland Vibes started when Instagram was just pictures and captions, and I would have said that I was an expert at that. And if I would have said, okay, this is all I know how to do, then and this is what I'm going to stick with, then we would have never grown to where
Mm.
we are now. Reels was such a huge takeoff for our brand. So I think, yeah, just being open minded, just nothing that we do is that hard. I don't think there's anything. Kyle's a drone pilot, so that's got some skill, and he had to do some serious testing for that. But most of what we do is can be done by 12-year-olds. So like, it's just being, it's really just being willing to learn something, learn how to make something, a different type of content, how to add captions, how to add things like, things like that. I think is
Well,
really
it's
important.
wild too, because I don't even know. It feels weird to talk about like us being successful because we don't feel successful in like the sense that like we aren't the best at our families yet. We aren't the best in at versions of what we could be doing, and we know that where we want to go. You know what I mean? Like we're not there yet. So like we just
Yeah.
know that like what success looks like. It's hard to even talk about how do you do something when you aren't even sure if like you feel like we've been to where we want to go yet. You know what I mean? And where we're going as a business and the things that this the vision that Kaitie and Mike and Stephanie have for the market and for everything else that we're doing, man, it's like
We're just getting started.
it's getting started still.
Yeah,
So
for real.
I think
Yeah.
that's the cool part.
Well, where are you going? What is that vision?
It depends on what Cleveland needs. It's always been based on what the community needs. So it really is hard to say. But I will say that the Cleveland market has shown us that there's a need for more opportunities, large scale events,
Yeah.
things things to do in the city and just that connectivity. So we're definitely looking in the next few years to expand that part of our business.
Yeah, I think where we're going to, it's yeah. I mean, events has been huge in the Cleveland market. Continue to grow. That I think it's getting better at the things that we're doing well right now, and just getting organized. And I think uh, I think that's one of the big things. I think that where this kind of next for us is just doubling down.
Just doing what we're doing, but doing it even better.
Is that how you think about what success looks like ultimately then?
The cool thing is that I think success for it's multiple things because you can if we come become millionaires but we're miserable, I don't think I'm going to feel very successful. So to def to define it, I feel like you've got to it's a so many but for in the city and we just want to do good and we've already gotten to do a good amount of good. So I think from some standpoint we're happy already.
One that we'll continue to do, I think, you can count on us doing is like this idea of putting the social back in social media. Like I think that we want to get people in the doors of businesses. We want to get people to the Cleveland market to support local businesses. We want to get people to go dance with Froggy. We want to get people to go in person to stuff. And I think that you can count on that for sure. We'll still get people to support other Cleveland businesses. And I think success for us is never ending there. But where I think we'll find success is when we can also be able to maybe leave Cleveland one day. And no, not actually, but like leave Cleveland in the sense that we're going vacation. We don't go on vacation. So like when we're able to step out of our business, and I think we're so in it right now. We're so in it, man. And I think we'll um be when we can go visit other places and feel like we have the time to do that. That's kind of
But I definitely feel more like success when we're for if we're not if yeah, I get you mean there.
when we grow big enough. Yeah, I think that we can yeah.
Have more passive aspects of the business or not feel like if things will fall apart when if you disappear is always a goalpost.
Yeah. Well, I'll challenge you guys with another goal to add to your Herculean plate there. But I feel that I feel success as someone who's also thought a lot about storytelling in Cleveland will be like when we can change people's perception about Cleveland. Like when Kaitie, like when you or I or whoever comes next can like come to Cleveland and have the accurate representation and not be so pleasantly surprised by coming to Cleveland.
Yeah,
I feel that
yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
to correct that narrative. I
No,
love that goal. I love that goal.
well, it's cool because I think in a lot of ways, I think the work that Katie and has done as our brand director and our founder, like to get us to and to help change the perception in a lot of ways already, just of what Cleveland is and could be.
For sure.
But I think, but I think that yeah, man, I think when we start seeing the city just thrive,
Well,
that's
it's
something too.
to me, there's no one. I mean, obviously, there's no one account or one platform that could even say it to get it across. It really has to be just getting Clevelanders to adopt the mindset themselves so that they can everywhere they go when someone says, I mean, gosh, the amount of times you go out of the city and someone you go, I'm from Cleveland and they go, oh, I'm sorry. And making sure that when that comes up, you say, oh, well, I love it. And I'm actually really happy there. And it's got beautiful metro parks, three sports teams that you get to go and see some of the world class art museums. We've got Playhouse Square is one of the best theater districts in the country, and it's got affordable cost of living and it's right on the water. But I'm sorry that you haven't been. When people start responding like that and start, giving the city that they're from the respect it deserves instead of just laughing along, that's when the narrative will change nationally.
Yeah, it's true. And the narrative's done changing nationally.
That's a good goal. That would keep us busy though.
It certainly will.
Small
Yeah.
goal. Just change globally. Why not? Globally. Let's go. Let's go. Let's change it all over the world.
How do you think about what the brand of Cleveland is and should be? Like, what is your opinion about what is the brand of Cleveland?
It's hard because it's so, right now, Ohio got branded over the last 2 years in a really viral way where people were like almost using Ohio as like an insult. So it's crazy. It's a crazy time to be trying to brand Cleveland. But I think I when I think of Cleveland, I think of the people that are from here and what they are, which is just
Well,
like humble. Humble is a big one. Grassroots, just really unassuming, sweet, kind. I think that's what the city feels like to me, a little bit more wholesome than your average city, a little more community minded, more welcoming than your average city. Kindness is a big thing here.
I think in some ways too, it's interesting. I think we've talked. I've talked to a bunch of people too about like what they think the brand of Cleveland is too. You know what I mean? And I think it's interesting to take that feedback from other people and help just try to represent that well in the brand itself as we like talk to these business owners and they tell us what the vibe is of the city. It's like we just try to, I think, emulate that in some ways too, right? But it's interesting because I said to my friend Mikey Silas about this. Why do people visit cities, right? Like when you visit, like, why do you go to Nashville, Jeff? Like, oh, you would go there for Broadway, country music. And why do you go to LA? You go to LA for Hollywood and the
The
star
shopping,
and shopping, right? You go to New York for the pizza, dude, and the again shopping, but the Broadway there. We did the why do people come to Cleveland? And I think the answer to that question probably for a lot of years was probably the Rock Hall, right? And I think that there's maybe I've talked to some people that think, oh, maybe the metro parks, like we should talk about metro parks because there's a land of 18,000, 10,000 forests or whatever. But I think like, what do you? I think the cool thing is, what I think the vibe of the city personally, I think it could be is like, maybe we should make this place a city of dreamers, places where people can start businesses because it's affordable to do it. A place that like you can have a low cost of living and it's just all the basic things we already know about Cleveland and get to feel and show ourselves online because we're experiencing it too, And so I think that's a big part of that like we get to represent the city as it unfolds and as it changes as well.
yeah, it's kind of rediscovering itself. What do you think What do you think the vibe of the city is?
But I love all of those. I mean, I feel it's a good place to build. It's filled with warm, kind people, humble, modest, but with their own dreams. And I I'm from New York. I go back all the time, and people there, have a certain drive, certain ambition, and it's not that we're lacking that here. But I feel like the what we're reconciling with is the mistake on the lake self-deprecation kind of history. But I feel the brand today, like if you were to do it from scratch and not have to reconcile with like the baggage of Cleveland from the 60s or in kind of the hollowing out of the industrial era is what you've just outlined. It's just like it's a great place to be for all those reasons.
It does feel like the American dream a little bit is still alive a bit here.
It is. It's a wonderful sentiment.
It is. That is, yeah. That's a beautiful thing to think about.
Well,
It's also a good place for family.
it's also a great place to raise a family. That everyone talks about that too. Having not raised a family myself yet, I can't speak to it, but it that is a perennial thing that people express.
It is. No, and it is cool. You can like live in the suburbs and then drive downtown, right? And then like, and you can kind of experience the city life in doses and can get back. But it's also one of the things that I think is one of the I think low key Cleveland's an event based city, so people come into the city for events and then they leave. right? And then they're in the suburbs. It is a great place for, but I think there needs to be more options for families to live downtown somehow. Like there needs to be a way for families to have, you know, more people, just more people down here yeah, because I think it is an amazing place to raise a family, and I think that there's Katie talked about the crime numbers in the city and how they're just misrepresented because it's like it's such a people that live in downtown Cleveland or in the city is so much less than the greater Cleveland.
If you look at it from on statistics, it's going to appear that Cleveland is a more violent city because the population of Cleveland proper is low in comparison to the instances of violence.
Well, 20,000 people live downtown. There's just like
Yeah,
not that many people.
right. There's
That's
just
not many people. So the amount of law abiding versus violent or criminal activity, whatever it is, it makes it seem like it's high because there's just less people. But if you're actually looking at number of instances compared to Chicago, I mean, I felt much less safe there, and it was just because it was much more common to see. So it's kind of one of those things where on paper it looks like this is an unsafe place to be, but I had my own personal experience. I felt very safe, and I love bringing our kids to the city, and obviously the suburbs are wonderful too. So there's lots of options, but between the metro parks, the sports, the museums, the things to take your kids to, we've got amazing schools. That's located in a place that you can travel out of pretty easily and get to other parts of the country pretty easily as well. So for raising a family, I mean, cost of living, lack of traffic, so that you can spend your afternoon evenings with your family instead of sitting in traffic. I mean, these are all things that really contribute to quality of living. And when you talk about success, I think that has to be part of the conversation. It's just, am I even enjoying myself?
It's a good question. More people should ask.
What's it all for?
So we'll bookend it here then with some closing questions, but kind of just want to ask when you reflect holistically on Cleveland vibes, what you two have been building over the last few years now, your personal journeys. Is there anything that comes to mind as particularly important that we haven't talked about that you would want to express?
We've expressed our deep love for Cleveland businesses, our passion for the Cleveland community, and how we think they're the best of the best when it comes to American people. We've talked about the importance of building your business with people around you to support you, and how family has been uplifting in that. I know I wanted to speak to that.
Maybe I was just gonna add like it is pretty wild that we get to showcase all of these amazing businesses, right? That like in the core of what we're doing is like we're just showcasing the culture of the city that's already here. Like there's new businesses that are starting, and the market does that. That Stephanie and Katie really are the like co-creators of. But it's like that's what's such an amazing thing. Think about the business that came out of the market and the new businesses that came out of that, right? And that the businesses that we could support that are already here, business naturally going to go away. That it's just like um, those are the people that help make our business thrive. They are our customers, they're our friends, they're everything to like what we do, and so it's cool to be able to just get to showcase the best of what they are.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
create and co-create what Cleveland culture is. I think that's a cool thing that like the businesses we've got. Stephanie and I were just driving around Lakewood, and we saw one of the market businesses got its first location, its first brick and mortar. And hopefully the market had something to do with their success. Obviously it's just one piece of a puzzle of a business owner, but getting to contribute to what I think we just want to invite everybody to remember that they're part of creating Cleveland culture, like what Cleveland, it's going to look completely different in a decade. And so we're all getting to be co-authors of Cleveland's story right now. And it really is looking for lots of authors. And so, I think just remembering that you don't have to just look back and be a witness to it, that you're in a time where the city needs you to pick up your pen and get in there too, or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to stick with this metaphor for a while in the pen,
No,
but
it's good. I
but
like it.
this Italian philosopher is Italo Calvino, and he writes this book about Marco Polo that visits, I think it's like 50 different cities in Italy, and it's a fictional book. But what he you end up realizing at the end of the book is that all of the cities that he visited, they're all unique and different and beautiful. They actually were all Venice the whole time. And I think that's crazy because you can choose to see a city differently based on your experiences, the way that you choose. But like that's your choice, right? Like you can see the industrial, maybe the parts of Cleveland that aren't so beautiful, or you can choose to see the moments, the opportunities. Like there's a window across from our office that's got two smiley faces written in it. One of them's a smiley face, one of them's a frowning face. They're on both sides of this pane of this window, and the storefront is available. Nobody's in it. And I'm like, you can either look at that storefront as one of those two ways, right? That it's either an opportunity for growth, or you can look at it like the city is falling apart.
Falling apart.
It's about how you see it, right? And it's not about much more than that. I think in some ways, right? Like we got the choice. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. Well, I'm very excited actually for the traditional closing question because I feel like there's no better people to answer it than both of you. But it's for hidden gems in Cleveland, things that other people should know about that maybe they don't.
I can't say it's hidden. I don't know hidden, but Cilantro Taqueria is unassuming always. So if you're driving by it, they have a few locations. So, but that's one that will change your life when it comes to like their street corn, street tacos, just bringing like a good authentic taco experience to Cleveland.
A couple places that I want to try that I haven't yet that might be hidden gems, but we got invited recently to go to this place called I think it's just called Whiskey Bar, and it's over by Harry Buffalo. And apparently, they have 500. Any if you sell whiskey or bourbon in Ohio, they have it 500 of them, and it's just over there. And it's behind Harry Buffalo. And I'm like, no one knows about this. It's the only place you can. And so I'm like, I haven't checked it out yet, but that's one I thought would be kind of cool. Also,
Asia Town.
low key, I think Whistle Pizza is probably some of the best pizza in the city, hands down, dude.
Yeah, nobody's
Whistle.
talking about that.
I don't know how much of a hidden gem that is, but Hana, if he's been on your podcast, dog, you know his
Yep,
pizza.
yep.
It's great. It's
It's
It
fantastic.
solid.
actually is really good. Nobody's talking about that. Asia Town's full of them. We love LJ Shanghai. People know about it now, but if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know Cleveland, then that's one that you have to hit. Same with Superior Pho. Amazing.
Hmm.
And you would never see it. It's kind of back tucked behind. You have to go into a little plaza to get to it. So
Also, we looked at
that's a
this
must.
place, Mitzi Yermans, which is cool. It's a uh it's actually in Midtown, but it's a Slovenian woman who owned it. Mitzi was her name. She was born in the bar, and she passed away in it. But she lived in the bar that she worked in, and the bar is still the exact same when she passed away in the mid 90s. And so it's just cool if you want to step back in time to part of like the city's history that like you just don't see anymore. There's no food there. It's just cheap beer, and a bunch of the same locals that have been there for years. And I think those people are great as well. But Mitzi's is great. So yeah.
Hmm. Those are
Definitely
these,
hidden.
these are
Definitely
awesome.
off the beaten track.
But yeah, what's yours, man? We learn about it from people like, we ask everybody, where's your favorite hidden gem?
Oh yeah.
Anything you stumbled upon recently
Whew.
since the last episode?
Since the last episode, well, I'll give a plug. It is a little outside the traditional Cleveland boundaries, but it's where I'm going to dinner tonight. But I'm going back because of how good it is. But there's a place in Oberlin actually called Tiny Thai. Unbelievable,
Oh,
unbelievable Thai food.
Oberlin.
are you?
We liked
They
Oberlin.
they actually did a collaboration with
Really?
Cordelia a few weeks ago, um, and I mean it's unbelievably good.
I'm writing it
I would
down, man.
plug
Dude,
them.
I'm writing it down now.
text us
I'm
the
writing it down
links.
now.
Would recommend. Yeah. But Kyle, Kaitie, I just want to thank you for coming on, sharing your story. It's obviously I love what you guys are doing. I think it's really important, and we just need more of it. So keep on.
Right back at you. Right back at you. We appreciate what you're doing. And the podcast is amazing, and we're honored to be on it. Seriously, the people you've had on here are some heroes to us. So we really, really appreciate it.
It
Yeah,
means a
for
lot.
real, man.
Happy to have you. If people had anything they wanted to follow up with you about, where where are you pointing them on the interwebs?
Contact at clevibes.com is a good way to reach out. DM us. Email is probably the best way to get in touch.
We'll be in person at the Cleveland Market on August 9th and 10th. We also, yeah, I think
You
that's
can
probably
find
the
us
best
on
thing.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Cleveland Vibes and Cleve Relief.
Yeah, man. Hit us up.
Perfect.
We love it.
Cool.
Thanks, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's all for this week. Thank you for listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show, so if you have any feedback, please send over an email to jeffrey@layoftheland.fm or find us on Twitter @podlayoftheland or @sternfa, JEFE. If you or someone you know would make a good guest for our show, please reach out as well and let us know. And if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or on your preferred podcast player. Your support goes a long way to help us spread the word and continue to bring the Cleveland founders and builders we love having on the show. We'll be back here next week at the same time to map more of the land. The Lay of the Land podcast was developed in collaboration with the Up Company LLC. At the time of this recording, unless otherwise indicated, we do not own equity or other financial interests in the company which appear on this show. All opinions expressed by podcast participants are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of any entity which employs us. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.